My name is Rachel Simoncelli, and I am doing the LGBTQ health disparities. Specifically, I want to focus on the sexual health of the LGBTQ community. LGBTQ youth are more likely to engage in high-risk behaviors, leading to an increased incidence of sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs. Transgender individuals have a higher prevalence of human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, and STDs than heterosexual or LGBT individuals. That's according to the Healthy People 2020 website. In addition, the rates of gonorrhea, chlamydia, and HIV are twice as higher in sexually active LGBTQ youth than heterosexual individuals, and that's due to the lack of education that's friendly to the LGBT community. In addition, there's an increased risk for unsafe sexual behaviors in LGBT youth, includes earlier age of sexual encounters, increased number of unknown and anonymous sexual partners, the lack of education on safe sex practices, ineffective use of condoms, and testing and perception of STDs acquisitions. In terms of cultural and social issues, gay men are at a higher risk of HIV and other STDs, especially among communities of color. In addition, LGBTQ sexual health education is legally banned in some areas, including some areas of Alabama, South Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Texas, and Arizona, and these are known as the no homo laws. Some classes are not LGBTQ friendly due to simple ignorance and not necessarily due to any sort of legal action. In addition, there's environmental or economic issues sometimes that play a factor in it, including the lack of sexual health education in modern education. And among millennials surveyed in 2015, only 12% said their sexual education class covered same-sex relationships. And that's according to the Human Rights Campaign. LGBTQ inclusive sex education is not available to all youths, including those in states that have laws banning LGBTQ-friendly sexual education. And this lack of access does not represent a lack of support from family members, because in a survey, 85% of parents support the discussion of sexual orientation as part of sexual education in high school, and 78% supported it in middle schools. In terms of short and long-term outcomes, I want to see a decrease in the STD and HIV rates in LGBTQ community members. I'd like to see an increase in the knowledge of LGBTQ-friendly terminology in healthcare and in sexual education classes. In addition, an increase in the discussion of sexual orientation and safe sexual practices for LGBTQ practices in healthcare, as well as in sexual education classes, both in middle school and in high school. I'd also like to see an increase in the discussion of sexually transmitted diseases and human immunodeficiency virus testing, and that's both in healthcare as well as in middle school and high school classes. In addition, an increase in the incorporation of LGBTQ-friendly aspects to healthcare electronic medical records, or EMRs, and eliminate states with anti-LGBTQ education, which were known as the no homo laws. In terms of interventions, I propose that there's an increase in the sexual education related to LGBTQ topics in middle and high school sexual education classes, and I think that this can often be advocated by healthcare providers and by parents, and this can be done by attending school board meetings and attending rallies that help promote the incorporation of this education into the education system. The second intervention is to improve communication between healthcare providers and LGBTQ members. I think sometimes there's an unknown barrier between these two parties, And I hope that through open communication as well as open-ended questions will allow for asking about sexual preferences and asking, if a healthcare provider asking the patient if they have any questions regarding safe sexual practices, as well as offer testing for both STDs and HIV, and also offering preventative measures such as the use of PrEP, which is the pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is used most often in individuals who are at high risk for exposure to HIV. And lastly, I'd like to see an improvement in the knowledge of LGBTQ-friendly terminology and incorporate it both into healthcare and sexual education. And this can be done through doing things such as seminars where the individuals can learn more about LGBTQ-friendly terminology, as well as healthcare facilities incorporating LGBTQ into their healthcare system. Personally, where I work, if someone is transgender, you can even color code the chart to their sexual preference. As well as a background and as a demographic, we always ask what their sexual orientation is, just so that we as healthcare providers have that background information for us so that we can accommodate to what best suits their needs. Finally, I believe that change will not be made without our efforts and without advocating for the education to promote universal LGBTQ inclusive sexual health. These are my references, and thank you for your time.